Welcome to the Plemmons family farm. This is in the back of our house. We've got some raised beds that we've started. This particular raised bed here has sunburst tomatoes. This is one of the tomato plants that the deer didn't get. The deer, we'll show you a couple that got chomped down pretty good, but these are a small cherry type tomato that's yellow and red. You can see they're coming in nicely. They'll turn a nice red and gold. We've had a few that have already come in, but we're still a couple weeks away probably from getting those. This was a raised bed kit I bought at the Master Gardener's Spring Herb and Plant Festival a couple of years ago. It worked pretty good. It just screws together. We put down plastic base underneath it to help with weed control, which is a real problem with all the Bermuda grass and all the really wiry grass and stuff that tries to grow into everything. You can see here is one of the plants that the deer chomped off. They got it to a certain level. A year ago, they just leveled them off completely. They knocked a couple of tomatoes off of that one. I think maybe a squirrel or a raccoon or something carried them off. I don't think the deer necessarily ate them. You can see they devastated this particular plant. It's starting to grow back out. They didn't bother the basil. The basil is doing just fine, but the two tomato plants, these are Amish plum tomatoes. They're a real nice, like a pasta tomato. You can see some hanging there that are starting to grow back out. But they cut them off right at the top. We had a little deer track all through the garden. One thing I was a little surprised, they stripped all the leaves off the pepper plants. If you can look at these bell peppers and some Corona peppers that we have, they literally just stripped the leaves off of them. The plants are coming out pretty well, so those are going to be pretty good. This is a bed that we made out of blocks. This is a gardening block that you can get at Home Depot. If you want to stack it higher and make it higher, you can just stack them on top of each other. And then I got, I think they're 2x6s or 2x8s, treated, just sawed them to what length I want to. They just tap down into that. You put them on the corners and then put a barrier underneath, fill it up with dirt. So that made a nice, easy raised bed on that one. The other raised bed we have here at the Plemmons farm came from a kit that I got at Home Depot. I ordered this one and they mailed it to me. It's small, as you can see. It's some sort of corrugated type product. It was real easy to put together. We've got Cherokee purple tomatoes growing in it. They're doing pretty well. The deer didn't get this one too much. We did have something that broke one of the vines on this one, so I had to trim it away, so that's why it doesn't look quite as bushy. You can see where it's broken down there. Again, the basil doing really well. One of the things that I like about doing these raised beds and putting a barrier underneath is weed control. I can come out here during a break during the day. I walk out here, pull a few weeds, and walk back into the house, have a nice break, get the weeds, and it keeps the beds free of grass and clutter. We didn't get any San Marzano tomatoes, which is probably our favorite. It's a pasta tomato that's really good to eat. So I had some seeds. So I planted the seeds, sowed them in a little bed over there in the back, and then I transplanted them. As you can see, these did really well, except for where the deer chopped the tops of them off. I've got another pot of them on the porch that are doing pretty well. Later on, we planted, this is straight into the ground. I made some hills. Zucchini, which is just now starting to bloom. We've got squash here that's starting to bloom. Right now, it's later in the day. It's not, you see, one of the things we have, even with these, we have weed control issues. These things are just the devil. And by the end of the season, the grass is just tremendously difficult to keep out of here. I've got a little bit of other stuff in the back there. The biggest problem with our entire garden, lack of sunshine. We have a lot of trees. All of our beds don't get really good sunshine. This is probably the best sunshine we've got, is this particular location right here. And eventually we'll probably put a raised bed here to work out of this. This is our herb garden. We've got some thyme. We've got some Greek basil, and we've got lots and lots of mint. Smell really good. They make really nice mint juleps, but I don't know what the heck you can do with this much mint. And that literally, we can mow it with the lawnmower and it comes back. Inside you can see our rosemary. The rosemary bush, we planted one plant of rosemary, I think, or was it two? Maybe 2 plants. And we've had rosemary, these giant bushes, and they have a really nice purple bloom when they do go to a bloom. Step over here is a pollinator bed. We started out with a wild seed packet that came for a pollinator bed. We tilled up a former strawberry bed, which didn't produce many strawberries. It's all kinds of strawberry plants, but not really any fruit. The birds like the fruit. But we created this pollinator bed. We've got a variety of different wildflowers. I don't know what this is. I think somebody said this may be bee balm, but it's a beautiful flower, grows really well here. We have zinnias. I transplanted these that came back wild in the front of the house, and they're just now coming out. Coneflowers. The bees love the coneflowers. I was here this morning and there were bees just bouncing off the top of each one of the coneflowers. This one, we don't know what it is, but if you break the leaf, it smells just like licorice. Wonderful, wonderful smell. I mean, I want to put it in my mouth, but I don't know if it's safe to eat. But it's got a really nice bloom. The leaves smell really, really good. You can see we've got more coneflowers here, just a little different variety coneflower than what we have there. And then toward the back, we have more of the zinnias that we planted. And once again, we run into an issue of trees overhead with not enough sunshine. So that's kind of a quick tour of the Plemmons garden. The main thing that we want to do in the Plemmons garden is grow tomatoes. And hopefully there'll be some tomatoes. But anyway, we'll keep after it. I've got some cucumbers out too. And anyway, thank you for indulging us. It's also a microphone check too, so we're trying to see how these mics go. So thank you for joining.